expecting to talk or anything. But so Christ, he was crucified, right? Basically by the Romans for being a religious heretic. Something even like Lord Gauranga was doing, like basically, go right to God, forget this whole established church, forget the whole system, like, surrender. He was basically preaching. They finally kill him by crucifying him on the cross, and then he rises again, right? This is the basic ontology. So that yoke and the burden is all of our our sins. In the kind of idea there, he took all of our sin, all of our on his shoulders. And then there's a whole history behind it, because in the Old Testament, an essential part of worshiping God was to make animal sacrifice. So the churches used to be bloody places where they were murdering goats and then sacrificing them to God as a way of atoning for all of the ways that they had fallen short. And so then the kind of general idea in Christianity is a saint came, Christ, who I've been told that Srila Prabhupada said he's also a type of Shaktivesh avatar. Maybe in like Vaikuntha Tattva, like Vishnu Tattva, or some sort of avatar in that sense, a Jiva soul who was empowered. And then kind of like who was that wonderful personality in Lord Chaitanya's movement who was willing to take upon all the sins of all of the universe on his?
That was Vasudev Ghosh.
Yeah. See, we have a bunch of Christs, but they only know of this one Christ. We have so many Christs that even would blow the Christ they know away.
Yeah,
they have the one.
Saraswati Thakur actually made a comment about Vasudev Ghosh, saying that he was millions of times more merciful than Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So they have that one. What it is he's their Guru Tattva for that particular group. And Ami Guru, Jagat Guru, they consider that Christ is the only way because of misquotes in the Bible. So anyways, the yoke and the burden is all of the sins of humanity and also the cross itself. So I don't know if I skipped something. So in order to end not just to end the animal sacrifice, but to create the sacrifice to end all sacrifices, he descended and then sacrificed himself as the oblation to cancel out all of the sins for all of the people who then take refuge of him. There's so many parallels in a twisted sort of way to, basic ontological aspects of Gaudiya Vaishnava Dharma. But, again, it's convoluted and twisted and has been completely, really has been manipulated over history. The original teachings of Christ, the original life story of Christ was very different than what's presented in Christianity nowadays. And so what he was trying to say is that from his understanding, he's seeing that Christ has taken away all his sins and that was easy for him.
I see. That's
not realizing that we have a bunch of those. We have so many of those in our line, even to the level I would consider Srila Prabhupada. I mean, I don't mean to sound like a heretic, but Srila Prabhupada is a Shaktivesh avatar. So even he could be considered like that, Shaktivesh.
So
I wouldn't say that.
Sorry,
I wouldn't say that to a Christian. I wouldn't say that to a Christian. And no offense to any Christians that are here. Ontologically speaking, we have many Christs.
So he doesn't realize that Mahaprabhu can absolve his sins.
Yeah, and he thinks Christ's burden was light. Christ had a moment where he doubted God. Mahaprabhu never did. So that's the other thing is if you actually give the ontology to a Christian and show the pastimes and everything, it's ridiculous for them to think they've got the highest and only thing. But they have a thing. If a real Christian has a thing, but it's not the best thing out there. Anyways.
Oh, well, thanks for explaining that. I really had no idea what he was talking about.
Sure, sorry it's a little scattered. I had no idea I was going to be on the spot. So. I'm about to drive to work, but...
Okay, well, thank you. And welcome to Dayal Chand Prabhu in New York City. I think you're joining us, this group, for the first time. Welcome, Prabhu.
And hold on 1 second. Dandavas.
Dandavas.
We're gonna see you soon in New York, okay?
Okay, awesome.
Oh, you busy? Okay. So then when I'm listening, so I put it, that's why I put it I'm going to put my earpiece. And then the vice pleasure is always going to continue the association. Thank you.
And that.
Are you?
And let's see, Krishna Mohini Didi also just joined us from Spain. Okay, well, does anyone have a particular request for today? Dandavat, Krishna Mohini Didi.
Dandava, Vishakha Didi, Dandava, all the devotees.
Dandavat. Vimala's in the next room. She's also joining us.
Oh, she's there with you? Oh, great.
Tungarasa, Dandavat.
Right. I have, if anyone.
Vimala, come, we can sit together. Yeah, I'm in a colder room, maybe. Please, Govinda Ranjini, go ahead.
I've heard that Srila Prabhupada, he took the term Krishna consciousness from that verse, Krishna Rasa Bhavitamati. This is for the the glossary thing, and I will like make an amendment to this. If you would define this term Krishna consciousness, if you had to do in kind of 5 lines.
In 5 lines, this is the challenge.
6.
Well, I mean, you see, in Sanskrit, that expression is used in different ways in quite a few places. So for example, Krishna Mati referring to like the mind or your mentality, your consciousness. You find that like for example, there was one expression, Krishna Matir Astu, like let your mind be upon Krishna, may your conscience. And so, for example, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a place where because the Mayavad sannyasins, they have this tradition, Namo Narayana, right? They greet each other like this, Namo Narayana, like, oh, Narayan, my respects. Like, how are you today? Hey, Narayan number 2. Hey, Narayan number 3. They have this practice, Namo Narayana, So somebody, as I recall, in one place, it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, perhaps in Varanasi, somebody greets, because Mahaprabhu is ostensibly, he is a Mayavad sannyasi. So somebody greets him like that, and Mahaprabhu responds like this, Krishna Matir Astu. Like, it's kind of like he's deflecting it. Like, may your consciousness be upon Krishna. He's not accepting that like respect for himself. He's directing it to Krishna. So we hear this phrase, Krishna Mati, and there are other, I'm sure there are other verses, I can't think right now, but using that phrase. Then also another expression you'll find sometimes is Krishna Smriti, right? Smriti referring to remembrance. You find, again, I can't think of exact shlokas, but there are verses which are using that phrase or referring to that, remembrance of Krishna, Krishna Smriti. This idea is there, this in Sanskrit it's so broad, so there's many different words which can indicate that. And then another word, another expression, another phrase is Krishna Chaitanya, right? What is good? This is Mahaprabhu's welcome, Sonia Sham Prabhu. Krishna Chaitanya, right? This is Mahaprabhu's sannyas name. And you'll see it in Golden Volcano, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he's expressing his appreciation for this name. It's not one of the like the normal sannyas names, but that's how like Keshava Bharati was inspired when he gave, so supposedly gave initiation, when he played that role, he offered that service. So that was the name that came through, Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya. So what does Krishna Chaitanya mean? Actually, we're all pronouncing it wrong. Bengalis, they say Chaitanya. It's a little difficult for the Western. Chaitanya, like that. So what does that mean? What does Chaitan, right? Or Chaitana means consciousness. So in Golden Volcano of Divine Love, when Srila Sridhar Maharaj is describing the sannyas ceremony of Mahaprabhu, then he comments on that. How and you can see Srila Sridhar Maharaj loves this, he's saying how it's an ontological expression, like the name given to Mahaprabhu, Krishna Chaitanya, it means Krishna consciousness. And there's a comment there, Keshava Bharati says something like, because you will spread Krishna consciousness, this is how Srila Sridhar Maharaj is paraphrasing it, because you will spread Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna consciousness throughout the land, your name will be Krishna Chaitanya. That's so that's another interesting phrase that is there. And then you're referring to another expression, Krishna Rasa Bhavita Mati. It's that word mati, right? It's the same, Krishna Mati. It's the same, the first phrase that I mentioned, the mati, like one's mind, one's consciousness. This is this line is really wonderful if you kind of break it down. It's, Krishna Rasa Bhavita Mati means like this consciousness that is steeped in this ecstatic rasa, Krishna Rasa Bhavita Mati, like in this rasa of Krishna, this consciousness which is steeped in this ecstatic devotion for Krishna. Krishna Bhakti, I'm missing that word, Krishna Bhakti, yeah, devotion, this ecstasy that comes out of devotion for Krishna, the consciousness that is steeped in that. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. Kriyatam means by it. Kriyatam jadi kuto pilabhyate. If you can obtain it anywhere, you must immediately purchase it. If you happen to find it anywhere, it's not easy to find, it's a rare commodity, but if you happen to find it anywhere, you must purchase it immediately. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Jadi. Jadi means like if, like if you happen, like it's emphasizing the rarity of this, that kind of person. If you find someone who has that, you must purchase it from them immediately. But how will you purchase it? Kriyatam Jadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam. Eka, the only way is through your laulyam, through your hunger, through your desire, through your intense hankering for that. Tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam. Janma koti sukriter na labhyate. Janma koti means like millions of births. Na labhyate. Sukritir means like pious activity. Here, that word is used differently with different connotations in different contexts, but here it's referring to pious activity. So like by following all the practices perfectly for koti janma, millions of lifetimes, na labhyate, you won't get this. No. If you're following the practices in this external way, without that inner desire, that inner heart, that inner hunger, inner necessity, then you won't get it. I came up with this really cool expression to be so audacious as to quote myself. But you know, there's this, Gurudev loved this, and Gurudev, I would love to share this with Gurudev. I think he'd really like it. But in English, we have this expression, necessity is the mother of invention, right? You know, like, because like, you know, sometimes there are things in life, like if you, like, you don't know how to resolve them, right? You don't know what the solution is. Dandavat, Vijay Prabhu, Ramananda Prabhu.
Dandavat, Vishakha Dasi.
You know, sometimes there are problems in life and you don't, like, if you just sit down and try and think them out, like in a theoretical way, you can't, right? But when you're actually like in a life or death situation, when you're in that moment of urgency, the solution comes out, right? Like you'll find a way somehow because there's a real need for it, right? So Gurudev really liked that expression, necessity is the mother of invention. And he used it, maybe he used it in different ways, because I think I heard him quote it a few times, but the way I remember him using it once is he used it in connection with Guru. Like when we feel the real need for Guru, then Guru will appear to us. Krishna will find, like when we are making like it's also mentioned, like when we take a step towards Krishna, Krishna will respond by sending Guru to us, right? So it's like when we're feeling a need to go deeper, you know, into our spiritual life, then Krishna will respond. When we feel need to approach Krishna, will respond by sending us Guru. Like find a way, you know. We were discussing the other day this, you know, one of the famous Chatra Shloki verses in Bhagavad Gita, you know, dadami buddhi yogam tam, right? Te sham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So dadami means Krishna is saying, I will give them the intelligence by which they can approach me, by which they can connect with me. It's such a reassuring expression. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will buddhi yoga. I will give them that intelligence by which they can connect with me. It's so reassuring. Like there's no room for hopelessness in Krishna consciousness. There's no room for that. There's no room for pessimism. There's no room for hopelessness. You know, if we're just assessing things like in a logical, rational way on the level of our empiric abilities of analysis, you know, we reach a dead end. At a certain point, we reach a dead end. We reach a cul-de-sac, right? But when we're living in the faithful plane, we live in a world of infinite possibility. We are perpetually optimistic, you know, because Krishna will find a way. Doesn't matter how bad things are. Yeah, yesterday, Harivalva, are you there, Harivalva? He's a musician. He played this guitar and there's this English expression. It's like coming from the opera culture. It's not over till the fat lady sings, right? So he made a song with a twist saying, it's not over till the sweet angel sings. You know? Like, even though things may appear totally dire and desperate, like you don't see any solution, it's not over yet. You know, Krishna's there. Krishna's going to come in. Give Krishna space to come in. No, it's not over yet. Story's not over yet. So anyway, you know, when we're in that moment of real necessity, then Krishna will respond to us. Guru will come to us. Revelation will come to us. So I had this inspiration that necessity is the mother of revelation. And I think Gurudev would really like that. Necessity is the mother of revelation. You know, truth comes to us. And there's a beautiful phrase of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. It's in the Bhagavat, that little booklet from a talk that he gave. where he says, you know, like truth will come to us when we earnestly seek for it. And then he mentions, and Gurudev also mentioned the example of Vedavyas, right? When Vedavyas completed his compilation of the Vedic literature, he felt that deficiency within himself. Like, oh, something's missing, you know, and he's searching within himself and he's lamenting a little bit, you know, where have I gone wrong? What's missing? And then in that moment of his greatest necessity, then Guru comes to him, you know. So yeah, so or like it's told in the Bible, like knock and the door will open, right? Ask and you shall receive, you know. So this laulyam, you know, this necessity, this hunger, it is so crucial, it is so central, it is so fundamental to our spiritual life. Otherwise it's dry. We're not connecting with the current. You know, we're following the, you know, we're following all the strictures, we're following the guidelines, but that life essence is not there, you know. So then we need to like figure out how do we get this hunger, you know. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj's answer to that was association. Hungry people, those who have hunger. No, we must associate with them. Yena tena prakarena manaha Krishna nishedaya. This is a nice expression, I think, in the Upanishad. Yena tena prakarena, like means like this. Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he translated as by hook or by crook. You know that expression. By hook or by crook, like by any means possible. It doesn't literally say by hook or by crook, but that's the idea. Yena tena, by this, that way, whatever way that works. Fix your mind upon Krishna. You know, fix your mind upon Krishna. So we need to feel that kind of urgency, that kind of hunger, necessity, like. And that verse, Gurudev loved that verse so much. I think they included it on Gurudev's Samadhi temple, Samadhi Mandir. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Jari Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Apimulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukriterna Labhyate. This is Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And there's another kind of related verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bahu Janma Kodi Shravan Kirtan Krishna, I can't remember the Bengali, but it's saying that one may practice Shravan and Kirtan for many births, but not get this. You know, they won't get Krishna prema, they won't get Krishna bhakti. No. So it's a tricky thing. And then there's also this other verse in Bhagavatam, Dharma sanustitapam sam vishvakshena katam natpodiyed yadiratim shama eva hi kevalam. Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada liked this verse a lot, saying that if you can perform, that if all of your dharma, if all of your perfect execution of dharma does not lead to attraction to Harikatha, then Shama Eva, it's all useless. It's useless. So then this is another question we have to ask ourselves, like, are my practices, you know, my service, my sadhana, my seva, my sadhana, is that increasing my desire to hear Harikatha? Is that increasing my desire for sadhu sangha or not? No. And if it's not, then we need to question our practice. We need to question, how are we doing our seva? how are we associating with the devotees? Then we need to question that. So, but I went off topic. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Did you hear that from a reliable source that Swami I mean, maybe what the person was referring to is that Krishna Mati in that.
I think he himself. I think.
Oh, Swami Maharaj
himself.
himself. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because like that term was not like, oh, so Govindan, for those who joined later, Govindandini was asking about this phrase, Krishna consciousness, right? Because we use it, you know, this is like the term we use to refer to what we're doing, to refer to reality. It's just, but you know, this is like relatively recent. This is in recent circulation. Swami Maharaj Prabhupada made this a thing, you know, but before, you know, that expression wasn't used. But it's interesting because it's so perfect. Like as soon as he came out with it, everyone started using it. Srila Sridhar Maharaj uses that, you know, Gurudev uses that. Everyone uses that because it's so perfect. And you know, it is so perfect because like when you use like other terms that you use, like if you use bhakti, like if you say Krishna, if you say Krishna bhakti, or you say Gaudiya Vaishnavism, or if you, or you know, other terms like that, prema dharma, also like there's some implication there, like we are one lineage amongst many lineages, or you know, like this is a religion and we follow this practice and that practice, and these are the things that we do in this religion, right? There's some of it, like a structured religious system. There's some implication of that. But what this actually is so much broader than that. It's so much more than that. You know, it's everything. It's everything. You know, even like sometimes people will say it's a way of life. Okay, it's actually more than that too, though. You know, so that phrase Krishna consciousness, it just so perfectly expresses, you know, because consciousness is all pervasive, you know, so it's such a perfect expression. And there was another thing I wanted to say, but it just slipped my mind. I can't remember now. Oh yeah, I wanted to just, many of you know this story already, but that occasion when Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he asked some devotees, they're always asking him questions, right? And then he turned the tables a little on them and said, let me ask you a question. What is Krishna consciousness? And they were all a little taken aback. You know, they weren't expecting that. You know, the teacher is going to ask them a question. And they all were kind of fumbling for answers, didn't really know what to say. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj told them, it is reality. You know, it is reality. And it is time that you are acquainted with it. So we're very happy to have that expression. The consciousness of Krishna consciousness. And another thing I'm reminded of by your question is how Srila Sridhar Maharaj, so you know Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he used this it's called an acronym, right? ISKCON, you know, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And when Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he mentioned that when he first heard that, he thought that Ish was Isha, like as in Ishwar, the Lord. And he actually thought it was coming from this famous verse in the Isha Upanishad, that Isha what is that phrase? Isha Vasvam? Someone can say better. What is it? Isha Vasyam
Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam.
But what is the first word? Isha
Ishavasyam.
Ishavasyam. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. I think Srila Swami Maharaj would quote that a lot. That, you know, everything in existence belongs to Krishna, I think is the translation. Ishavasyam. Everything is owned, everything is controlled, right? Ishavasyam, Vasya. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to him. Right. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he when he first heard that acronym, he thought that's where it was coming from. that was the idea behind it. Oh, nice. But yeah, I don't know if that was helpful for your glossary.
Very, very helpful. I'm going to listen to everything again. But if you would have to say, like in 5 lines, what is Krishna consciousness for general public not saying?
What is Krishna consciousness for general people? You know, last week it was the anniversary of Yudamanyu, Yudamanyu Prabhu, Seva Vikram's departure. Maybe some of you saw the live stream of that. And the Swarnangi and Yudamanyu, like we're talking about Laulyam hunger, like Yudamanyu had Laulyam, he had hunger. And so Swarnangi, she shared this one email exchange with him. And it was for something they like yourself, something she was preparing for their website for new people. And she wanted to explain what service is. And so she asked Yudamanyu, because Yudamanyu, he's Seva Vikram, that's his name. Like he's the embodiment of Seva. And Yudamanyu just could not answer the question. He wrote like, this is such a profound question. Like I don't know anything about service. I have no idea what Seva is. Very, very difficult. But anyway, that's, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. So what is Krishna? Wow, this is a great challenge. What is Krishna consciousness in 5 lines? Does anyone have any? Do we have any offers from our group here? Anyone want to share any thoughts? We can have a competition.
May I say something, Vishakha?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like you mentioned earlier, what Guru Maharaj asked. Then Srila Guru Maharaj, Param Guru Maharaj mentioned, didn't he say Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead? So that's the center focus. There are so many gods. So he said, didn't he mention Krishna in Krishna consciousness? Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he was sannyasi. I remember vividly that interaction with Param Guru Maharaj and that devotee. So that's the center point. Then we go around everything else. So we are very exclusive. Rupa, a lot of devotees even don't know. But we are unallowed. Also, it's all accommodating, but we are very specific. That makes us unique and separate. So it's all three. We all are part of Chaitanya tree, but we are exclusive. Rupa, yeah. According to Param Guru Maharaj, I've been watching and listened. So he stressed that. That's why he left even Gaudiya Math, because he wanted more exclusive.
Well, that's a very good point that you've brought up, that the Krishna consciousness is the Krishna consciousness movement. It's inextricably connected with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's a very good point. So you could say those who worship Lord Krishna as the supreme deity in the lineage of Lord Chaitanya, who is considered a non-different avatar of Krishna. The focus is the goal is determined to be awakening a relationship of love, you know, with the goal is determined to be awakening a relationship of loving service, you know, with Shri Radha Krishna, the divine feminine and masculine principles of divinity. But then that's maybe going a bit too esoteric. Something along those lines.
Oh, great. This is a good thread to pull. Very good. I am looking here, and he says also, Srila Swami Maharaj, that the translation in Sanskrit of the term Krishna consciousness is Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavanamrita. I don't know which verse is this, but some excerpt that I just wrote here to help me.
I mean, that's not literal. I mean, that's not literally, Krishna consciousness is not a literal definition of that. But yeah, more broadly speaking. Dandavat Subhadra. Subhadra's here. Yeah, I suppose that does in a more developed way describe what Krishna consciousness is, because you have Amrita, right? Because because it's true. In a sense, Krishna consciousness is a little lacking, it's not fully complete, because consciousness, you know, is dry ultimately, right? So that rasa is not indicated. Like the first verse of the Vedanta Sutra, Tato Brahma Jigyasa, right? Search after Brahma, search after spirit. And Srila Maharaj, that introduction, is it to search for Shri Krishna? That is a wonderful introduction. You know, maybe we can all go and reread that today at some point. But so Srila Maharaj says, Srimad Bhagavatam replaces the search for Brahma, like dry spirit, with the search for rasa, ecstasy. So a tato rasa jigyasa, now search after rasa. But you see, it's so interesting, because first you have to, if you're going to go the safe route, then first you have to be established in consciousness, and then you can appreciate rasa. Otherwise, if you go straight to rasa here, you become sahaja, right? Then it's prakrita rasa, not aprakrita rasa, right? Prakrita means like, prakrita rasa is material pleasure, material ecstasy, which we're not interested in at all, which is meaningless, which is terrible. So aprakrita, so that's why, you know, there has to be some foundation in consciousness, you know, and then once you go past that, then you can come to rasa, then you will appreciate rasa. That's the safe route. Anyone else have any comments or anything else to add or ask or anything? We still have some time.
Can I say something, Vishakha Didi?
Yes, sure, Prabhu. And welcome to Bhakti Puri. I don't think we greeted you yet. Dandava.
Yeah, I like search for Shri Krishna, as you mentioned. So Guru Maharaj say, awake, arise, search for Shri Krishna. Krishna is the emporium of rasa. So we have to consciously go towards him, search for him.
Jai.
But then, like Mahaprabhu say also, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. We're trying to reinstate in our natural position, because we are here. I was listening to Param Gurma, he's saying we are like a sun ray. So we are pushed down from that plane here, but we can reinstate it, or we can go back. Back to God, back to home. Param Gurma, I love that. See, back to God, back to home. Home sweet home. See, Golok is our home. So I love that. He said, go to back to God, back to home. Home sweet home. Yeah,
Jai,
this
beautiful.
lecture is so relishing. Yeah, it's oh merciful. We are so lucky. Guru Maharaj telling Goswami was asking Goswami Maharaj, what is Aparadh Bhanjan path? He said it's Aparadh Bhanjan path where all the offenses are forgiven. That's why there is a little clip of Guru Maharaj, very nice. He explained Mahaprabhu
Beautiful.
forgave all the offenses there. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You know, another thing that maybe you could squeeze in your definition is a, you know, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan. You know, Sambandha, understanding the proper nature of the environment. Then Abhideya, the practice, the means, bhakti, which is bhakti, devotion, and then the goal, prema. You could maybe say Lord Chaitanya distilled the Vedic knowledge, you know, into these three, you know, with these three categories or something like that. Maybe it might be too much for a glossary. But,
Great. Thank you all very much. You and Ramananda Prabhu, thank you very much.
That was Govindanandini.
Nice. Anyone else have any thoughts? Bhagavan Prabhu, anything you want to share?
Nandavad. I heard from Srila Maharaj, the Krishna consciousness is our motherland. Right? We're a member of the Krishna's consciousness. That's our motherland. We belongs to that. We're connected always to the Krishna consciousness.
Beautiful.
That's one. Yeah, that's our motherland. We are connected with the consciousness. And with the association of the devotee, we maintain that connection. That's why we always have to be in the association of the devotees. They will always maintain you in the Krishna consciousness connection. Yes, Srila Yamar expressed that many times. This is our motherland.
Oh, very good. Very nice. Very good, Prabhu.
That's beautiful. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you reminded me, he also gives this wonderful, really helpful analogy of the relationship between the rays of the sun,
yes,
you know, with the earth. You remember that? Yeah, I think it's in Loving Search, right? I think it's from there. And how it's such a beautiful and helpful analogy, how the rays of the sun, they're touching the earth, but their real identity is in connection with the sun. That's the sun is their motherland. Maybe that's what he says.
Yes, that's the explanation. Come from that.
Yeah, I find that so helpful. No, because the sun ray is touching the earth. It has connection, but it's actually a remote connection. Its real connection is with the sun. Its real source, its real identity, its real existence is there with the sun. So in the same way, like we've now come down to the conception of matter, and we are navigating this material plane, and we're identifying this material plane. But if we look up, if we open our eyes, you know, we'll realize, oh, I'm actually spirit, and my real motherland is that higher plane of spirit. Why am I identifying with this ground, this earth? My real home is there in the sun, in the plane of consciousness of spirit. Yeah, very, very, really wonderful. Thanks for bringing that up, Prabhu. Well, we are now in a Matuscadero. We're staying in kind of the middle of a construction project. The previous owner was kind of like an old hippie, and there's lots of psychedelic artwork around the place. And a beautiful land, beautiful. It's quite a rural area. And we've had some very nice programs with some local friends. And this afternoon we have a university talk at Kaupali, I think is what they call it, Kaupali. Yeah, so it's been very nice, reaching out and meeting people and sharing, you know, this wealth and seeing how it's touching people's hearts. So it's very enriching. And then tomorrow we will go back to Sokel Seva Ashram. And then Janardhan Maharaj, he's returning maybe I think Thursday or something like that. He's in Mexico now, so then we'll meet him again in Sokel. And Bhima, we have a wonderful team here. Vimala Didi's with us. She's in the next room. She's on the screen here. I'm in a colder room. She's staying in the warmth. And Braja Mohini's heading things up, and Harivalabha Prabhu's here, our head Kirtaniya. And we also had a few other devotees, Deva Priya, Jayanta Krishna, and I think someone else. And then locally, we have Giridhari Prabhu. Some of you know him, and his friends. And then Supriya, his previous wife, she works at the university, so she organized this program. So yeah, we all feel very blessed. Vimala, do you want to finish with some words of blessing to our group? We have 5 minutes.
Just appreciating the opportunity to be with the devotees, and then we can see that really our nourishment, spiritual nourishment, comes more and more through the devotees, like, you know, that is seva coming through us, because we are exposed to it, we are with the devotees, and that seva opportunity will come. A little something we do, and we exchange some ideas, we are with someone that something like will come to you to be told to a person that is there needing to hear something, to give more nourishment to the soul. So my gratitude for all of you allowing me to be here and you know, get some nourishment, get some tonic, spiritual tonic. And being that I am sitting here because it's more cold. Today is a colder day than other days, and here there is a little heat. So I sat here in the room, and the kitchen is very cold. But then I say, okay, I will turn on the phone. And my gratitude to all of you. Really, I feel blessed with Gurudeva's causeless mercy that we can be together on the Zoom and on service line, front line, in whatever situation the Lord will give us that opportunity. We shall run for it with that eagerness, you know, and praying for the mercy that we can be an instrument. So this is it. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Didi, my beautiful friend. Jai Gurudeva.
Thank you so much, Vimala. It's beautiful.
So precious what you said, Vimala. How much in the association, the opportunities of service, they just sprout.
Yeah. And then
and you don't seem to be in a hippie place. This room is very fancy. It doesn't look like the same place as Vishakha is very colorful.
Well, you know, he prepared 2 rooms for us. And the rest of the building is like a construction site.
Yeah.
Oh,
more or less.
Very nice.
More or less.
Very nice. Very
nice. So he prepared. Like the day before we arrived, he had them just finish the painting.
Oh, great.
And we also have a Harivalabha Prabhu. You want to share Harivalabha Prabhu? Will you share any words of wisdom as with our group? I was quoting your song, "It's not over till the sweet angels sings."
Oh.
Hari Vallabha is our rock star devotee.
She exaggerates a little bit for preaching, I guess, you know.
No. You want to share some, we have a few minutes before the end of our meeting.
No, just, I don't know. It's nice to see so many devotees all over the world. I don't do that so much, but now that I'm with Vishakha Dasi, then I'm getting to meet all the nice devotees all around the world. So yeah, it's inspiring. You know, we're not alone. That's, you know, sometimes we feel, you know, not feel alone, but we are alone physically. But through consciousness, you know, everything is going on. You know, I mean, as bad as things seem in the world, only it would be worse if so many devotees weren't chanting with faith, you know, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So sometimes I think like that, you know, maybe it could be worse, but we're doing what we can, you know. But even whatever we're doing, of course, it's by the grace of Gurudev. And we'll always have to remember that. Hare Krishna. Hare Bo. Dandavat to you all. Keep the faith.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Dandavat.
Okay, well, maybe we'll wrap things up. Anyone else want to add any final words? Should we close there for today? Thank you, Govindranandini, for hosting so nicely, and all of you for joining and giving your good company, giving me some service engagement. Otherwise, I'd be lost. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Haribol.